In my book, this is where this guy gets a massive win. Hey guys and gals, welcome to Garage Gear. I'm JB. Do you need a walk-behind edger or a stick edger to get that nice tight edge on your freshly cut lawn? Let's compare the two and see which one fits you and your lawn best. This here is a stick edger and it happens to be an Echo PE 225. And this here is my mclane walk-behind edger. If McDonald's had an edger, this would be it. I'll have more detailed videos on each of these edgers linked down below. Now, the very first thing that I consider before buying one or the other is lawn size. It's as simple as this. How big is your lawn and how much edging do you have to do? If you have a smaller yard with a smaller driveway, shorter sidewalks, maybe shorter walkways, then a stick edger can make quick work of all that. But if you have a longer driveway and long sidewalks like this, then you're gonna want something that's gonna get the job done as efficiently as possible. That right there is a wooden handle sidewalk edger nightmare. For longer edges to maintain, a walk-behind edger will get it done much quicker with less effort on your part. And that segues nicely into the next topic, comfort. To me, this is probably the second biggest reason on my list. If you have to walk a longer distance with an edger, you'll want to do it with a walk-behind edger. Carrying a stick edger around for an extended period of time starts to take its toll on your back, your shoulders, as well as your arms. And one thing a lot of people don't realize is that it actually throws off your walking gait, because what ends up happening is you kind of twist at your waist to walk the edger down your yard like this. Over time, that weird walk is going to make you more fatigued and give you more aches and pains. So without question, stick edgers are going to be ideal for shorter driveways, sidewalks, and walkways. With a walk-behind edger like this, there's almost zero strain on your body as you walk it down your edge. Next up, power. Now mark my words.
Power is everything.
There will come a time, and it's usually in the spring when the lawn is overgrown, and maybe it's the first edging of the season. The grass is just creeping over the sidewalk and you got a lot of work to do. Not to mention a lot of cleanup to do too. In that case, power wins. A walk-behind edger will have more power going through that blade to keep it moving through the thick spots. In this situation, a stick edger will struggle even at full throttle. The end of the stick edger may even bounce a little bit as it hits those thick spots. It can still do it, but it's going to take some time to chew its way through. This is just one of those cases where underbuying can cost you, and probably a lot of your time and a lot of effort. Something like this walk-behind edger here, which is running at 120 cc's, is running at 5 times the power compared to this stick edger, which is running at about 21 cc's. You have to ask yourself, okay, I have to deal with these situations often. Which edger is going to help me get the job done? And to help this video get the job done with the YouTube algorithm, would you mind hitting that like button? Thank you. Well, all that power comes at a cost, right? Not really. In my experience, edgers don't use all that much fuel. Perhaps when you set that initial edge, but after that, maintenance edges are really quick. Even a big walk-behind edger like this doesn't really use that much gas, and I maybe fill up this gas tank once or twice a season. Now, if we have a look at stick edgers, they have a much smaller gas tank. And once you get through that initial edge, you're just gonna be doing maintenance edging for the rest of the season. So in that case, you're not gonna be filling this up quite as often as you think. You gotta be doing a lot of edging to really drain out both of these. Now, just know that walk-behind edgers typically are 4-cycle engines and run best on ethanol-free gas. And just know if you're gonna go with something like this stick edger, it's a 2-cycle, which means you're gonna have to mix gas and oil together. And typically, in my experience, they're 50-to-1 gas-oil mixes. Now, overall weight. A stick edger like this Echo weighs less than 15 pounds. Not exactly much to carry around for smaller yards. But for larger yards though, the ones that require more edging, a stick edger in this case can really start to weigh on you then. This again goes back to comfort that I mentioned earlier. And a lighter unit like this can really start to bounce around if the terrain is really rough. Now, on a walk-behind edger with all of its added weight, it tends to stay straighter on its path, doing more of the work for you. It may be heavy, but it's not as heavy as the regret of not having a perfectly edged lawn. Next up, versatility. How well do each of these edgers handle different terrain? Rough, cracked driveways and sidewalks, rounded driveway edge skirts, tight walkways. All of these areas, without question, are going to challenge a walk-behind edger. They're just not that maneuverable. A stick edger can easily handle smaller, tighter areas. Stick edgers like this are perfect for decorative walkways, brick or paver walkways with lots of edges, and pretty much for all odd-angle cuts, these are great. Another area that creates some really unique challenges is curbs. Long curb lines can be a lot of work. Now, I've tried using my mclane walk-behind edger on some curbs before, and the problem is the curbs themselves are just too narrow. They do make curb hop attachments that do link onto the side of the walk-behind edger, but those only seem to help so much in my experience. If the curb is just too narrow, you're playing this balancing act with a heavy machine on just a few wheels. And this goes the same for just about most walk-behind edgers. If you have a wider curb, you're good to go with a walk-behind edger. If not, you're gonna wanna go with something like a stick edger. In my book, this is where this guy gets a massive win. Just set the stick edger up on the curb and rip. Simple, simple, simple. And this just gives your curb more curb appeal. This is a huge advantage of going with a stick edger. Next up, edging angles. Both of these edgers can do the math hitting all the right angles. But in my experience, the best looking edge is the one that's straight up, 90 degrees. This makes your lawn look like it's standing tall and proud. Same thing for tall people. Think about it, tall people get noticed right away in a crowd. Your edge is no different. Now a stick edger like this has no adjustments except for its depth. But since you can tilt or tip this edger just with the simple flick of the wrist, you may not be necessarily getting the straightest edge down your yard. That's no big deal to me. Well, to some it is. And if you use something like a walk behind edger instead, you could simply find your angle and
you just set it and forget it.
Walk behind edgers do a better job simply holding their angle and keeping your edge straight and true without giving you a wavy edge down the length of your sidewalk. Now blade types, they come in a few different varieties here. And they also come in some varied levels of thickness. I'll have a few different blades as well as these edgers linked down below. Some are pretty simple and basic, some have a few other features to them, but you'll have to find the best blades that fit your model edger. Side note, if you buy blades in a multi-pack, you're gonna save a ton of money. Durability. Plain and simple, which one is built better? If we look at the stick edger, we have a lot of plastic down here. Plastic debris shield, plastic wheel and mount. Better stick edgers are gonna have metal guards in the right spots, as well as better gearboxes for added durability. Walk behind edgers typically have more metal, metal debris shields, metal linkages, metal covers, and this just adds to the overall durability with less repairs down the road. Landscapers, which do they tend to use? Well, if they're not using string trimmers, which I may get into in a whole nother video, they tend to use stick edgers. They can easily mount them on the side of their trailer, and they allow them to be more versatile and quicker to move around. I used a walk behind edger for my landscaping business back in the day, and I used it because it gave me a straighter cut. But it was a chore to load and unload that thing constantly out of the truck. I literally see landscapers ripping up and down the street all day long in the summer with stick edgers attached to the sides of their trailers. Hey, if you got hundreds of lawns to cut, you don't have time to waste loading and unloading a walk behind edger at every single house. Now price. No question, a walk behind edger is more expensive. Some of these can get well over $1,000 but you get what you pay for, and they tend to last a lot longer. I mean, we're talking multiple decades here. Stick edgers, on the other hand, may only be a few $100s, saving you some money, allowing you to lay a nice quick edge, and offering you more versatility in tighter areas. One thing is for certain though, every single time I see a walk behind or stick edger for sale on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, they're usually sold within a day or two. They have super strong resale values, which is pretty amazing. I personally grew up using walk behind edgers. Most of them saw decade after decade of abuse and somehow managed to still run. I saw the longevity of them firsthand, and I knew when I had the opportunity to buy one for myself, I knew I was gonna buy a high-end one because I know they just last. So what's your edger of choice? Is it a walk behind edger or a stick edger? Let me know down below in the comments. For more cool garage gear content, click or tap the screen right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.